Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon, coming from you from Nashville. Wait, start over. Coming from you? It's coming to you.
All right, we're off to a good start.
Here we go. Take 2. No, just kidding. All right.
Well, Tony Baloney is, we got a call this morning. He's got some family stuff that he's got to take care of immediately. So best wishes to Tony. We'll see him next week. You will hear him next week. Now, let's see. For the rest of the show, hey, everybody. Hey, this is Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show.
Dude, wait.
What?
You're not going to let me do that over?
I thought you did it over.
No.
Okay. Go ahead. Do it over.
I'm sorry about that. I'm like, dude, you're not going to let me retake that?
Okay.
All right. Let's start from the top, please.
Okay.
Jared Brandon, coming to you from Nashville.
Okay. Thanks, Jared. I'm just going to put that one in there. I've already said my piece. Guest, who are you?
My name is Rich, and you might know me as Tethered to the Polestar on Instagram.
Tethered to the Polestar. Okay,
That's
before
right.
we go any further, what is that all about?
It's my love of Earth, the band, and it's one of their tracks. And probably if I'd been really smart, I'd have had some sort of guitar kind of reference into there, but it was just a song I loved, and that's kind of what stuck, and I've never changed it.
Now, Earth is not a band that comes up too often in too many circles. Briefly, what is it about Earth that you love so much?
For me, it's the second wave stuff very much, the kind of slow, drony, kind of country, metal-y, guitar, rocky stuff. And, I've been lucky to see them a couple of times, and they're incredible. I think it's that quite meditative, slow, just cool bit of guitar playing, really. So, yeah.
Cool. And where exactly from the UK are you calling?
I'm calling from a place called Chichester, which is right on the south coast. So it's about as far as close you can get to the sea without falling into it.
Now, the south coast is, so are we talking, are you near like Wales or?
So the biggest place is probably in between Portsmouth and Brighton. So if you look on a map, it's kind of right down on the bottom.
Okay, all right. Oh, gotcha.
South of London. So it's about 60 miles south of London, something like that.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much. We're glad that you took a little bit of time out of your day to talk to us. And just a quick background. You're like, who are we talking to, guys? Why? What's up with this guy? Lots of people have chosen to follow your Instagram, mainly because you post a lot of great guitar stuff. We're going to get all into that, but why don't you head over to Instagram and if you're not already following, check out Tethered to the Pole, Pole star. And I think you will be delighted by what you see. And we're going to get all into why that is there and your love affair with guitars. Sound good?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Fantastic. We got a light crew. As I mentioned, Tony is handling family stuff, and Rob called and begged for mercy. He really wanted to do the show. He's as we mentioned before, he showed me a picture, and I think there was close to 10 amps stacked up in his kitchen. It's just everybody needs their amps repaired because, everybody's finally getting back to gigging and everything. So he's busier than he's ever been, and but he does do what he can to get on here. So we'll welcome him back next episode. So anyways, we need to just cover off on a few announcements. We want to thank Rode. Jared, that's
Road.
You don't have Tony prompting you. This is going to be great. And we get to look forward to me saying the names off terribly. Ugh. Anyways, so Rode mics, thank you so much for providing some really fantastic equipment. And, we use this stuff every week. They are making really, really nice stuff. And they've got some great new headphones out. Everybody should check out, especially for, we all like to hear the best tone out of our guitars and out of our amps and out of our USB interfaces and all the things. And I'm pretty sure their new headphones are going to do the trick. So might want to check those out. I also wanted to give a kind of an announcement, a public service announcement almost, but not in the kind of way that makes you feel like bad or sorry for things or whatever. And I guess that's doing a little bit of disservice to public service announcements. They're all very, very helpful, but sometimes they can, wrench your heart a little bit. This is not that kind. This is a squeezing your heart with joy, because the people that do our shirts, there's a fella named Jess, Jess, at Upright Screen here in Columbus. And the reason I bring that up, because people are like, what does that matter to me? Well, it matters to you if you're a builder, or if you're even just a DIYer and you want to just make a handful or whatever. He is now set up to do screen printing for pedals. And I just picked up a whole brand new batch of shirts that have a little bit darker gray, in case you darker gray print. So that's kind of a neat little thing. And we were talking about that. And I said, man, I'd really like to announce that on the show, because I know that there's a lot of people that are trying to figure out, like, where do I go to do this? Who can I trust to do this? Is it going to be done right? Am I going to have to wait and then get them and then send them back? All the things that come along with that. We've heard a lot of horror stories from builders throughout the years. And Jess is a real stand-up guy. I've been working with him since we started the show for 6 years. We do all my band shirts and everything through them. They do posters for just about every band that comes through town. So really great work over there. If you are interested in getting your pedals printed, you can check them out. uprightpress.com, and ask for Jess. Or you can just give him a call and ask him, hey, Jess, Todd told me you're making pedal screen print stuff now, and do that. He's a good guy, and he wants to help you be awesome. He wants to help you be awesome too. Yay! And then also, Rich, I don't know if you're familiar with this. Obviously, you're a little bit closer to the nonsense that's going on than we are, but I wanted to bring up Pedals for Ukraine. This is a situation that there's a lot of builders that have come together. David Gehring, Effects Layouts, kind of talked to me and asked me to share this stuff. And so let me do that really quick. We are a collective of effects pedal makers who have come together to raise money for humanitarian causes. Auctions are ongoing for handmade pedals from some very talented builders. Not only handmade, but a lot of them are one-offs. Which, hey, we all like that one-off business. It's special.
It is.
Auctions are going on. I said that bidding will be done in the comments in the auction post on Instagram. The winning bidders will use the provided link to make a donation directly to one of the charities listed in the auction post. Everything goes to the charities. The winning bidder will provide proof of donation, Pedals for Ukraine, to pedalsforukraine@gmail.com, and then we will mail you the pedal. And all that stuff's taken care of, and you don't have to actually remember most of that. We have chosen to focus on the following charities at this time: the World Central Kitchen, the USA for UN Relief Agency, and Doctors Without Borders. So check out Pedals for Ukraine at gmail.com if you have any further, deeper questions or messages, or just go check that out on Instagram and see some of the fantastic pedals that they got up there, and get yourself one and help somebody out who is desperately in need of that. Okay, there you go. And let's find out what we have got going on in our music worlds this week.
In a minute.
And what?
I have to blow my nose or else I'm going to explode. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey.
Hold on.
You're so
My apologies.
You're so polite. Jared, why don't you kick us off, and then we're going to check in with our friend Rich.
I'd love to. So as I said, the last few podcasts I was on, just kind of trying to work out the abundance of guitars and very little space issue. And I think I finally solved that. A friend of mine from work told me about the string swings, and that's what we use over at the Gibson shop at HQ, where we have a lab in that building where we do a lot of research and whatnot. And we have guitars on the wall and we use string swing. And this is not an advertisement in any way, but obviously, Gibson uses a lot of lacquer, and none of the guitars are damaged from using it. So I'm just going to follow their lead there with that. And so I found some wall mounts. It mounts 5 guitars, and they're only around $139 a piece. So I'm like, well, yeah, I'll try a few of those. So I bought a couple of those today.
Nice.
So hopefully they work out. And
well, just talk about really quick, the lacquer thing and hanging. This has been sort of is kind of a semi-known issue with nitrocellulose lacquered guitars hanging on these things.
Yeah. There's a lot of guitar brands out there, and I myself, I'm a keep it in the case guy for the most part. I've always just kept my guitars in the case. Well, I really can't do that.
It's no fun.
It's not, but it keeps the dust off. There's no dog or cats or kids that'll knock them over because it's in the case. But because of the lack of space I now have for this stuff, I don't have a basement in my new house. I don't have a choice. So I'm just going to get these string swings are well known to have a rubber coating around their hangers that they put on, the rubber tubing rather.
The previous ones, I think they were called Hercules.
Hercules, yeah.
Early on, a popular choice for those mounts were using latex tubing, but latex and nitrocellulose do not get along.
No, it just eats it. Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah.
And then you have to take your guitar to the fixer guy and blah, blah, blah.
It's really weird. Like, who knew a chemical reaction between those two things was going to be like,
I know.
Guitars. Who knew?
I mean, my dad had his, 4, 5, 6, I don't know how much he paid, but one of those Doves in Flight customs from the custom shop, Gibson, years ago, and he used brand X stand, and I had to take his guitar to Lay's, and they had to buff it all out, and it was hard work because it just ate it right up.
Rich, have you ever had that issue?
No, I don't have any guitars which are nitro, so it's not a problem I have to deal with.
Oh, nice. You can use any stand.
Yeah,
anything I want. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's my story this week, man. That's what I'm into.
Cool, excellent. Rich, how about yourself? What's going on in your music world right now?
I've been really enjoying the brand new album by Held by Trees, which is called Solace. So, for those people who are into talk and bands like that, they'll be very familiar with some of the players on there. So that's just been a beautiful album to listen to this week. Very, very chilled out. Very, if you like talk, it's a bit like the last 3 albums. So it's, that's just really what's been consuming most of my time this week as I've been driving to and from work.
Interesting.
Awesome.
It's called Brandywine.
Sorry, Held by Trees is the band name, and the album is called Solace.
Where did I get Brandywine from?
I don't know. Maybe you're hungry or thirsty, dude.
Yeah, I ought to get some for dinner tonight.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sounds good, though. I might have some later.
Is that a band that you've followed for a long time, or?
I think it's a new band. I think they're relatively new. I think they had put out some singles last year, but from what I can see, it's musicians who were in Talk and connected to Pink Floyd and other bands like that. And It was one of those
cool.
times, one of those annoying Instagram adverts was actually interesting.
Yeah, right.
Because it
Sometimes
came
they
up.
pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it came up and I was like, oh, that's a band I love. So I downloaded it and listened to it, and I think I probably listened to it about 4 or 5 times in the first day.
Wow. So it's kind of like a super group.
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, I don't know. To be fair, I've not actually looked at a lot of who's actually playing on it. I just enjoying the album. It's just beautiful bit of playing, very melodic and very relaxing to listen to.
Right. I feel like there's a lot of supergroup stuff happening right now. From the
Yeah,
sort of golden era of recording that kind of went away after the late '90s. A lot of the earlier bands, from the late '80s and maybe even early '90s, seem to be putting stuff together. I mean,
there was that Third Secret collaboration, which is exactly that. You know, bit of Soundgarden, bit of this, bit of that, and that came out a couple of weeks ago, I think, which was really good. I mean, I love listening to Kim Tails playing. It's just always just sounds super huge and heavy, and but really articulate at the same time.
yeah. And then you also got like the Empty Hearts, which is kind of another super group. Elliot Easton from the Cars, Clem Burke from Blondie, and we got the singer from the Romantics, and a couple, Andy Babiak, who's actually been on the show before. It's like, whoa, there's a whole bunch of people together making new music. Then you also have Mike Campbell from Tom Petty put together kind of a super group of players that have played in lots of other bands and everything. It's just kind of one of those things. Like, people are like, hey, I still want to do the thing that I'm really passionate about. And I've made a lot of connections throughout the years. And so then people are just going, well, why don't we do something? And I feel like they don't necessarily treat them with the sanctity of, when you start an original band and you have all the original members, and you can't sully that at all. It's just like, no, let's make some good music and we'll go out and play some shows and maybe crack an album or so.
Well, yeah, when you have the skills to pay the bills, you got to use your skills to pay the bills. You got to go out and play, man. Even if it's not with the big name.
Yeah.
The big attraction.
Exactly.
And usually, more times than not, you'll have just as fun, and you'll enjoy that music just as well as you did, the big show, the big name show.
For sure. Let's see here. Anything else going on with you over there in the UK there, buddy?
No, not at the moment. It's been a busy time at work, so I think that's unfortunately kills a bit of practice time. So I have enjoyed. I have enjoyed playing this morning, and just making sure that for a bit later on, my 4 on the floor was dialed in. That was was feeling the pressure for that one.
Yeah. Excellent. And then for work, what do you do for work?
I work in the bicycle industry, so currently I work for a company called Hunt Wheels, and we make both wheels for road, mountain bike, gravel racing. So we've got a pretty wide ratio of wheels.
So high-end stuff.
Also, upgrade kind of pieces as well for people who are new to the sport and have maybe bought a bike which hasn't got great product, and but that's why we do a whole, as you guys would say, aluminum line. Okay. So we have a whole line of products there to really help the rider upgrade their offering, really, and all the way up to super high end, which has been used at the Tour de France and things like that.
Oh, cool!
Wow. Yeah. I used to work on vintage Porsches going through college, and other vintage performance cars, and I remember when you're talking about like materials and stuff. The only reason I bring this up is I remember getting a set of magnesium wheels came in, and I went to go pick up the box, and I almost threw the box over my head because I was so used to picking up heavy rims, and a rim for a 356 Porsche was almost lighter than the cardboard that it was in. I could not believe it. I could not believe how light it was.
But it's as strong as could be, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
I remember the same thing when I was working the early days when I was working in the bike industry, and somebody literally did put a box into the crusher with a titanium frame in it. Thank God,
man.
they managed to get it before the person had pressed the button for the evening. So we managed to retrieve that one. But
God.
that could have been an expensive day for somebody.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah.
Wow. You're heading out to Utah right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll be heading out next week for the Ironman World Championships.
Wow. How long have you been doing the Ironman?
I haven't been doing it. That's way too hardcore for me. Those guys are supreme athletes. So we'll be going out showing new product and meeting journalists and supporting some of our sponsored athletes at the event. So I'm looking forward to it because it's my first time visiting Utah. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, if you are listening to the show and you are an Ironman person or fan, and you spot somebody walking around with wheels going, "Wheels for sale," it's probably Rich. So go talk to him. Let's see here. So I got a little visit from Melee's Forever. We got some pedals from that person, that brand. So we're checking those out. They're going to be on the show pretty soon. And I've also been kind of reassessing my pedal board situation a little bit, seeing if I can make I think I can get away with a smaller gig board. I've kind of been able to refine what I'm doing between switching out guitar pickups lately and amps and all kinds of stuff. Really have kind of revisioned what I need to do. So just looking at options for that, and whether I go with something that I've got an old pedal train, I think it's a Nano. I was like, I could do this, but I really like the idea of keeping all of the wires and power supply neatly tucked away, not dangling about, not
nice and tidy.
Yeah, and my current pedal board does that very well. But the pedal train doesn't really do that. It's just everything's exposed underneath, and that makes me nervous. So just kind of looking around for different, what else is out there right now. There's a lot out there, so trying to narrow the field. Love to hear what you all are loving, using, discovering. Hit me up with that information. So that's about what's going on with my music world, and we hope that your music world is pretty fun. Hopefully you get to there's something new that you are experiencing every week. Feel free to share that with us too.
Show us your new guitar. Show us your new pedal. Tell us if you finally found the pedal that's been elusive for
the Silver Bullet. That's a good name for a pedal right there.
The Silver Bullet. Yeah. Bob Seger would love that too.
Yeah. So anyways, let's get on with some of this action, shall we? Hey, Rich, I got a question for you.
Yeah, fire away, Todd.
What do you use to stitch your favorite pedals together over there in the place that you live in the UK?
Well, on one of my boards, Todd, I've got some Tour gear patch cables, and bought them right at the beginning of the pandemic, and they're still going strong.
Fantastic. Wow. Where did you hear about them on the show?
No, I think it was before they came on as a sponsor. So it was like really early days. Probably, I think I bought them in May 2020.
Oh, maybe when they were back as an actual episode. You can go back and listen to that episode, everybody, by the way. But so that's great that you're using them. They are pretty fantastic. What's your favorite aspect about those?
So skinny, so flexible. Just any crazy pedal routing that you've got, you can pretty much find it in. On a nano board, I like cramming a lot of stuff on it, so it kind of means you can sneak another pedal on there, which is good.
Yeah,
nice.
It's really bizarre how much room you can lose with really bulky cables, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think at first I was concerned there'd be a drop in quality of noise, and because you don't know, you're kind of taking a punt.
Yep.
But I've not noticed a difference. They've been pretty solid, so that's why on one of the boards they're a stable part of that setup.
Right, and taking a punt is the Queen's English for
Yeah, it's kind of like a punt is like, when you kick a football, like what we would call a rugby ball, I suppose, or bunting it. But it's taking a chance on something.
Yes.
That would be my best way of
Yeah, we might have a few of those.
globalizing that phrase.
We might have a few of those. I think it's funny. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I don't know that everybody else is. So we're gonna have some fun with that, I'm sure, today.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, back to tour gear. You can go to tourgeardesigns.com and find your favorite set of patch cables or a couple different. I highly suggest getting a couple configurations. They've got C shape, S shape, and all kinds of different lengths. So if you are running like a lot of pedals and you need to be able to connect, they don't all run in a straight line, so you're going to need some longer connections. Tour Gear's got the stuff for you. Use the discount, the guitar knobs, and you're going to save 10% off your entire order. And those things ship out really fast. So thank you so much to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Jared?
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right, Richland, tethered to the Polestar on Instagram. Why don't you give us your 4 on the floor?
Right, so it's going to start with a relatively new pedal that I just bought a few months back for my birthday, which is Color Sound Super Jumbo Tone Bender.
Oh boy!
Whoa!
Like an original one?
No, it's one of the re-releases. So
Okay.
this is quite. Some of my friends who are real fuzz geeks were saying it's quite interesting because it's got 4 transistors or something in the middle in it, and it's a mix of stuff. So I don't really understand all that stuff. I kind of listened to Macari's demo and thought, man, that sounds great. So he had stock. So rather than missing it, I just jumped on that opportunity and certainly not regretted it. And for me, the hype's real. They make a great pedal. So and it's super flexible, loads of sounds in the box. Rather than it's like with some fuzzes, you find that one sound and those dials never move. This one just encourages you to play around with it a lot. So,
and which one is that one? The Tone Bender?
It's they do various versions. This is a Super Jumbo. So
I like the way the Tone Bender about when you see Tone Bender printed down on the pedal, the actual word bender has to bend to stay on the pedal
to fit on. Yeah,
to fit on. That's really genius.
Yeah. And for me, it's really cool. There's loads of headroom on it. I mean, not an issue at all. And unusually, it's also got power supply as well as a battery option. So it's a little bit more modern for those guys.
Nice. What does that go for typically?
Oh, I think about £300, which I don't know what that would be in
a little
dollars.
$500.
Yeah,
probably about 380, 400, something like that. So it is definitely the most expensive fuzz pedal I've ever bought. But certainly is delivering the goods because you take a punt, and you're on, and certainly raises a smile and makes my ears happy every time I plug it in.
Nice. I like that. Well done. Let's see. What's number 2?
Well, number 2 is probably one of my favorite pedals I've bought since I started playing again. So it's the Greer Soma 63 drive pedal. Oh yeah, exactly. It's just incredible. The amount of times I've messaged Nick and just said, "This is incredible," and can you just make it into an amp? Or
he's a special dude, man. We love him.
That pedal is just sublime. I mean, I bought the Tomahawk first because I was deliberating between the two. And if I'd bought the Soma, I would have probably bought another Soma because I think I could definitely see a case of having 2 on a board with different settings because there's just so many sounds in that. No, I've played around and had a game of like, what weird position can I put it in? Can I make it sound terrible? And the answer is no. It's just no matter where you put those dials, there's a great sound that comes out of that. And so I think he's a bit of a genius, Nick, and just seems to be one of these just generally nice people, which
he is.
Seems to be a lot in the guitar world, which is great.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's interesting. Yeah, I've got the Southland, and actually probably going to be trading out for something else in his line. So I'm happy to hear good things about Soma. I have not played that. Tell us a little bit about what exactly is so fantastic about that pedal.
I think going on this guitar journey, you can't, I don't know, you're trying to pinpoint things that you like about certain people's sounds or tones. And I think it is that Brown Fender sound, which he's really captured there. And he seems to be able to have captured all the small amp version all the way up to the big versions of that amp. And it's great because it can be really just subtle overdrive, or it can get almost quite fuzzy if you turn that drive right up.
Mm-hmm.
I think the genius bit is having the presence knob on there to really play around and fine tune and tone it so you can make it work with your, I run a head and a cab setup, and it just means you can just dial it into kind of the sound you want. And I just think for me, it's just captures it really well. It stacks brilliantly to the pedals, which some drives don't. They kind of fight and wrestle, but this just plays nicely, or you can use it as a solo sound. So I love it. It's just great. It would, I can see myself buying another at some point.
Now, speaking of the Brown sound, I just want to touch on this really quick. One time when we were out in Nashville, Jared bought a Fender amp that had been, quote, browned out. Jared, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So I think the fellow that's working for the South Side,
East Side,
the East the East Side Guitar Shop here in Nashville, their tech, their in-house amp guy, he actually, I think he's the one who did the work on this, if I'm not mistaken, and basically he took like a mid-70s chassis and cab of a twin reverb, and he totally rewired the whole thing and hand wired it to the exact specs as a brown face, an old Fender brown face amp. So it's a little darker sounding. It's hand put together. It's supposed to be a higher quality, and it is darker. It's not that real super bright, chimey.
Yeah, it's got more grit, a little more compression to it.
It does. And for me, that's perfect because I'm not into that Fender super bright twang weak. And when I say weak, it's not all that bad, but I like a hotter, noisier, or not. I'm mixing my words. I like a hotter, more thick sound.
Right.
Rather than a very thin, stratty, telly, traditional sound through a very bright, common 70s, 80s, 90s. I want a nice, crunchy, cut through sound. So,
right. And
so that amp was perfect for me, and I still have it too. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I guess I plan on keeping it, but man, I tell you what, if you
like you need to play it. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I do. And also in the wintertime, if it's ever snowy, I could just put it in the back of the truck and it'll weigh it down.
Yeah.
It's super heavy, man.
Well, and the brown, I remember hearing brown sound all over the place for a long time, and I really didn't truly understand it. And I may be butchering this a little bit, but I'm pretty sure this is relatively correct. Is one of the things that contributed to that sound was that's when Fender brought on 2-channel circuitry with individual tone stacks, or rather, they were separate. So the blending of those things kind of helped add to that extra kind of sound. That helped me mentally kind of understand like what is the thing. Anyways, so that's very cool. Brown sound, Soma. If you like brown sound or you're intrigued by what we're talking about, the Soma seems to be the go-to thing, and I can totally understand what you mean by saying make an amp out of that.
Yeah, I think it would just be incredible. I mean, every time I hear a Mini Chief, it just makes me want to have one. So,
yeah. Though, have you been able to hear one in person?
No. I definitely want to hear one in person for sure.
Just skip it. Just get that thing. I could not believe when I went to his shop when he was still in Georgia. He said, "Hey, let me show you something," and he plugged that little tiny black box. I mean, it's the smallest amp you've ever seen into into his cabinet and just started wailing, and I couldn't believe the sound that came out of that. That was a special sound. So if you're interested in that low wattage amp, that's a ticket. I wouldn't even bother. I don't know why you'd bother with anything else. That's the one. So, anyways, sorry, but now it turned into the Greer show. What's pedal number three? What's pedal number three?
So pedal number 3 is a Black Country Customs Secret Path reverb.
Oof, that's a mouthful.
Isn't it just? It's Laney's pedal division. And I think...
Laney Amps.
Laney Amps, yeah. So it's made in the UK. For me, it's perfect.
And it's called the Secret Path?
Yeah, so there's a plate, a spring, and the Secret Path reverb. And... there's a switch on it where you can actually engage another version of those 3 reverbs. You end up with 6 total reverbs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just super cool. I mean, I tried various reverbs. I'm a big reverb fan, to be fair, probably more than delay. But and I think just having the flexibility, being able to choose, the volume, the depth, to get the size of the reverb, pre-delay on it, and the tone. So it's a 4-knob reverb. It gives you loads of options. So you can go, make it subtle, or you can go super heavy, ambient kind of guitar, drenched in reverb kind of thing with this pedal. So
yeah,
for me, just a great pedal. It's I really love playing with it. Really, kind of find it inspiring just to sit down and just noodle away for hours. Really.
Can I ask? Is it? Some reverbs feel really natural, like I guess amp-like, for lack of better terms, and others, which is totally okay, sound not like that, and they feel rather processed. But that can be a sound that you're actually trying to achieve as well. Where does this fall?
I think probably somewhere between the two. I think the spring sounds like a spring reverb. The Secret Path is their own thing, so it's got a bit of modulation to it, so it kind of feels a bit different. So I think that's why I like it, because it's really flexible. If you want to play kind of a bit of rock bluesy kind of thing, you can go for one of the more obvious choices of the spring or the plate. If you want to get a bit darker, a bit heavier,
right,
that Secret Path version, that's for me anyway. I love that with a bit of fuzz going through it. It's just a nice combo.
It has an expression.
Yeah, I'm yet to utilize that. It's probably something I should get into at some point, because I think it's just a real clever thing. What they've also done on one of the new amps, the Cub, I think they've taken the circuitry and put that into some of their new valve amps. So you get the Secret Path in their new amps.
That's cool. That is very intriguing. I'll have to see about playing one of those. What do you got for number 4?
So yeah, number 4 was probably the hardest choice, because it's kind of it's almost like where you're at that moment. But I've gone for a Pigtronics Infinity 2 looper, because I spend a lot of my time playing by myself. So kind of laying down those tracks and playing over them, I find is just a great way for me to improve and enjoy that experience. So yeah, it was that, or it was either going to be that or tremolo pedal. But I had to be kind of honest with where I'm at the moment, and it's that looper pedal. I just doesn't leave the board at the moment.
Excellent. Well, that is a mighty good 4 on the floor. I think we tapped into a couple that we're not maybe as familiar with. A lot of times we get ones that it's like, yep, those are all absolute go-tos. But I love when we get exposed to new pedals, and oftentimes for surprising reasons. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem, man.
So let's tap into why we're talking to you. Aside from just being a nice chap and also a guitar enthusiast, I think that's the big thing, is that, I, like so many others, discovered this great account on Instagram called Tethered to the Polestar. Aside from having an intriguing and weird name, I was immediately sucked into the posts that you had. And can you just tell us a little bit about like what was the genesis of creating this online, I guess, platform?
Yeah, no problem. It kind of, so I haven't played for a very long time, but it was my middle son, who is definitely the real musician in the family, who encouraged me to stop stealing his guitars and actually get my own and get back into it. So maybe about 3.5 years ago, started playing again. And I started posting guitar stuff on my normal Instagram account, and I kind of figured, oh, this is a lot of fun. And I thought I'd just set up another account and just repost stuff or take pictures of things and just post it up and just see where it went, really. I didn't have any aspirations to get thousands of followers. It was just more of a distraction for myself and hopefully like a bit of a daily distraction for other people from their work lives. And that's kind of how it started, really, and keeping my two worlds separate in a way and just making it all about guitars, music, and all things connected to that.
Right. Well, you have got some absolutely fantastic images on here. And I know that, you just mentioned reposting and stuff. Now, I personally don't have a problem with this not being like, oh, this is not all of your stuff. Well, unless you have the world's largest guitar collection, I don't know how that's possible.
Well, I think if I had all the guitars that I've posted, it would be bigger than Bonomassa's and Billy Gibbons has put together.
I think you're probably correct, but you're doing I think a service to the rest of us because you're sharing a lot of what maybe we may not be able to see. Now, because you're doing that, I'm seeing stuff from all over the world and the country from all kinds of different people. Why is that different, you may ask? Well, we know that Instagram and the algorithms basically channels things to you, right? They're serving up what you're going to be exposed to. So it's difficult to look for what you don't know to look for. And when we have somebody like yourself who's doing that, that kind of helps cheat that system and gets much more exposure to many more cool things. So because you're doing that, that obviously means you're passionate about this and that you're excited about this, that you take the time to say, wow, look at this. I want to share this with everybody. So I thought, hey, that's the kind of person that I would like to talk to because I get excited about this stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel very much like a curator on the site because, it's other people's images. I try and make sure everyone's tagged in that's relevant to the content because it's their content.
Yeah.
And, it's like my stuff, if I post an original stuff, it never gets as many likes because, I clearly need to be a better photographer and certainly a better player to warrant those kind of likes. But
or you need a Persian rug.
Yeah, maybe I need a special carpet. But I think there's just so many incredible builders. I mean, what an amazing time we live in where people are so passionate about it and yet crafting instruments for all sorts of different types of players, genres, whether you're a big brand, a small brand, pedals, amps, there's just so many interesting people out there. And when, I've chatted to so many people on DMs on Instagram and just generally everyone's a really nice person. And it's just a great privilege to be able to kind of expose what they're doing to a bigger audience because, the account's grown to be reasonably big now and it's just great. And, when you hear some of those smaller builders.
20,000 followers.
Not quite. It's about 18, just over 18 now. But I think the thing that makes me the happiest is when I see somebody come back to me and go, "Hey, we've had somebody buy a guitar because they saw it on the platform," and that makes me happy because these guys are trying to be everything. They're a builder, a marketeer, a sales guy, a repair guy. They're doing everything as a one-man show, and it's just so nice to be able to just help people out and just go, "Hey, look, you might not have seen this. It might be exactly what you're kind of looking for, and even if it's not, enjoy it because it's cool."
Exactly. Exactly. And that's honestly, that is the genesis of our own show. It was the exact same thing. It was like there's so many people out there who only have so much of a voice. And if you happen to find them, if they happen to cross your path and you happen to engage with it, then you might happen to learn a little bit more about it. So, exposure is the key. And for every just general type of thing, there's 1,000 variations. And one of the things I love about looking through a lot of the stuff that you have shared is I get geeked out on the little tiny things, not necessarily like, oh, here's the entire guitar. It's the little things. It's the details. It's like what knob is being used here, or, oh, I've never thought of putting this color with that color, or, oh, I really dig these scratches, or, all the little personalized things. That's what makes so many of these things special, in my opinion. I know that many others share that as well, but is there something in particular, like when you're going through all the images and what kind of locks you into something?
God, I think it fluctuates really, because I mean, at the moment, I've just got my kind of teeth into P90s, and kind of that's become a bit of an obsession. And I've got a long-standing SG build which I really must finish, and so it's like there's kind of things like that. So those two combinations. So I think when I was looking back recently, I was thinking, wow, I've posted a lot of SGs at the moment, and I think that's what happens. I kind of get a little bit fixated with things sometimes, and
Sure.
And another thing I love is when people take a telly design and reinterpret it. It's such a great kind of concept, but just seeing what people have done with Leo's design and taking it somewhere else is really cool. And
it is absolutely stunning how many different things you can do to, the simplest platform of all.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's Clydesdale Guitars was one of the ones that kind of jumped out, where he mashed my two obsessions together at the moment with like that SG body and the kind of telly layup and setup, and it just looks incredible. And some of those finishes he puts on his guitars with the flowers, or flipping the other side, he did some really cool, like almost like army green kind of colours. So they were super cool, and so I really like that. And there's a new, well, not new, but he's been around a long time. I think he's maybe on his 12th anniversary, and there's a Finnish builder. I'm going to pronounce this really wrong. That's the problem here. So I'm going to say, is it Voronseku Guitars? Man, I think I've got that really wrong.
Yeah, we've got a guy from the UK with a super thick accent trying to pronounce a Finnish guitar builder.
Yeah, it's not going to work well, is it?
Oh, that's great.
So he's got some fantastic designs.
How do you spell that?
VUORENSAKU_guitars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's tough. That's Vorensku.
Tough for me.
Oh boy, yeah.
He's making some great guitars, and they just look and sound fantastic. And I just think that's what's amazing. There's just people building all over the world, bringing their passion to it, bringing their little touches, which just make it that bit more interesting, a little bit more different. And yeah, it's just fascinating just to see what people are doing with it. In effect, it's quite a simple instrument in many ways, but people are just throwing so much passion and thought process into things. There's so many good guys out there. I mean, Fidelity Guitars, who are based up in Cambridge, are relatively new, and I've talked to Matt before, and he makes some beautiful instruments and very kind of 50s, 60s vibe on things. And I've posted a lot of his things over the couple of years I've been doing the account, and just makes a beautiful looking guitar. And he's got a few well-noted players playing the guitar now, but I think more than anything, it's just you can see his passion and interests really coming out in the guitars.
Yeah. For your own aesthetic choices. What do you let's what color? Like, if you're gonna go get a guitar right now, and they said you can whatever color you want, what color is that going to be?
Wow, I think it would have normally always would have been white, but I'm kind of warming up to kind of things like honey sunbursts and stuff like that. I think there's that really kind of natural aged look is something which is kind of hitting a chord with me.
Uh-huh.
I think that's really cool, and I love greens and blues on guitars. I think there just seems to be so many interesting colours. Like a teal would be quite interesting at the moment. I think that would probably tickle my fancy quite a bit.
Yeah. Jared shared with me one of his guitars early on, and it was a Les Paul special double cut, and it was a refinished Pelham blue, and he had his. So I'm not sure if you know, but Jared used to build pickups for Brandon Wound. Now he's at Gibson doing that, but it had his pickups in it, and I said, I want this guitar. It had many trapezoid inlays, which I'd never really seen before. I absolutely fell in love with it, and a big reason was that blue, because to your point, there's something about it. I don't think it finds its way to many stages for some reason. I'm not really sure about that, but Jared, when you got that guitar? Ultimately, by the way, I got the exact same guitar. But it was black, and I kept it black because black and gold is like my kind of thing. But Jared, why did you go with Pelham Blue for that? And what was it originally?
You know what? I kind of have the same answer you do. There's something about the Pelham Blue, and on top of that, there's something about it when the lacquer yellows over time, and then it turns it to like more of a blue green color.
Yeah, almost like turquoise.
But I wanted this to look new, so I just went with the clear lacquer. So you got the actual, Pelham, the true Pelham blue. I don't know. I've always loved the color blue. It just looks a certain way.
What color was that originally?
It was black. It was like a metallic black. And as much as I love Pelham Blue, and I'm glad I got it finished out as Pelham Blue. But
it's a one-off. It's totally unique in the world.
Yeah. So it was a metallic black before that. So, but I just wanted metallic blue more.
Yeah.
But the deep black was really cool. It had a slight neck crack, and I had that repaired, and I'm like, refinish it Pelham Blue. Pelham Blue's awesome.
That's cool.
That's the story of that guitar. Now Zach wanted it worse than I did over time, so I made a deal with him, and he actually put it in a freezer and had the
checked
nitro check on it, and it looks even better now. It looks like an old vintage Junior from the 50s, and but it's Pelham Blue at the same time. It's pretty awesome guitar.
Yeah.
They did a real rare run of those a long time ago. I think I want to say in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I have to ask my boss. He'll know.
Well, I know that Epiphone did a run, and I think it was around the time that they did Noel Gallagher's Supernova, not the Union Jack, but they did one in Pelham Blue, and it was like, kind of like their version of the 335, and like a dot style, I believe. And and then they also had I think they did a junior single cut. I don't remember seeing a double cut, and they did an SG as well, an SG version of it. I'm almost 100% certain that happened, because I remember seeing those in the store at some configuration like that, but then never saw them again. So, anyways, Rich likes blue.
Well, not as much as Gandalf the Pelham does, because he's his
what a great account
collection.
Right?
Oh my god, that single cut junior he's got. where I think it looks like he's put a copper guard on it. That's just outrageous. It's just so good.
Yeah. There's also a couple of just kind of sidetracking really quick. There are a handful that are coming up right now. One is at only one pickup, and I think there's a few more, but there's a resurgence of the one pickup love going on out there right now. And my latest guitar, I chose to do one pickup in, and I just start seeing a whole lot of, it's sort of like when you buy a car or something like that
you start seeing white cars
and you're
everywhere.
like, oh my gosh, my car's everywhere. Yeah. But it's neat how people we can fixate on one thing and they say, let's make that one thing an even bigger thing, So let's talk about a little bit about more about some of the stuff that you're gravitating and sharing, and just your experience with some of these people. Are builders contacting you as a result of this, or what's the blowback on this?
It does happen. I mean, I've kind of really. I mean, I've had people wanting to pay to go on the thing and onto the feed, and it's not where I do it. I don't want this to be a business. I always just want it to be something which is fun. So I've kind of politely said no. And I've just stuck with really following, I suppose, where the wind blows with it, really, and what comes into my attention. And so there isn't, I mean, sometimes I stick a lot to some of the themes. I do a lot of telly Tuesday because I love a telly, sometimes I play around with the whole Gibson Sunday stuff. I don't really get involved with Strataday because I'm not a huge Strat fan. So I kind of stick to kind of the stuff I love.
Yeah.
And that's really how it gets up on there. There's no more strategy than kind of thinking about, well, this is things I really like, and I think I'm going to share it because there might be a bunch of people that like it too. And it's as simple as that, really. It's no kind of overarching world domination plan in there. It's just literally just sharing stuff with other guitar people around the world, and people drop in and out of DMs, and we chat about stuff, and it's great fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I think you and me share the same love of Stratocasters. Are you having to look for new things now? Are you overwhelmed at your choices? Are you just oh my gosh, I don't even know what to pick? Or are you trying to seek out things?
It seems that a lot of the time they come and find me, and sometimes that is through DMs, and sometimes it's just, I don't know, it's like you see something on somebody else's account and it leads you down a hall of spending time looking and researching things, and I think it just feels very natural, really, and I do it when I've got the time because my job's busy, so I just find the time, I suppose, when I can to delve deeper into it, really. And I think it's a bit like the fixation thing. You kind of get into one thing, and I've played a bit of one pickup stuff quite a bit recently, and that's become a bit of an obsession. So you end up going down, searching out single pickup guitars and who's building them and what configurations, and then that gets reflected in your content. And I think, I've also had kind of a real thing hankering to buy a Selmer amp, which is completely impractical because, but they just sound incredible. And every time I hear satellite amps Elmer, I kind of go, how can I make this work? And what can I do to get one over here? And all those kind of questions kind of come into mind quite regularly because I think Adam's products, whatever amp it is, just always seem to sound incredible.
Yeah.
And, he's designed them really for pros rather than hobbyists like myself. But I think just the tonal sound of it, and I think
they're beautiful too. The aesthetic on it is incredible.
100%. And I think the simplicity is something which is beautiful. An amp where it's got so many knobs removed, so your choices are removed. So it just makes it easy for you just to get on and play. Probably is much more attractive to me. A bit like we were talking about the Greer amp earlier on. It's got a tone and volume, I think, and that's about it. And whenever you hear it through the mighty world of Instagram or YouTube, it sounds pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, I'd agree. You kicked out a couple of makers that maybe not everybody is familiar with. Is there like a handful of others that you'd like to make sure that people get made aware of?
Wow, there's a whole seems to be a whole renaissance of English builders at the moment, and there's just a bunch of really cool people kicking out there. I mean, Trent Guitars are doing some really cool stuff. He's managed to go from just being a new kid on the block and doing something really incredible. He's got a background in carpentry and cabinet making, so I think the woodwork skills transfer over. But everyone who's managed to get hands on one of those seems to think they're very special guitars. Who else is over in the UK at the moment doing some interesting stuff? There's this guy, I think he's a small one-man operation called Ruby Guitars.
Ruby?
If you like Ruby, yeah, if you like that whole silver tone kind of Tiesco Japanese thing, there's a lot of that kind of influence going on his guitar stuff at the moment. He's making some super cool stuff, just interesting, both guitars and basses.
On that note, there's the offset guitar shape. It's so familiar, but yet there are so many people just finding different ways to just shift it. By shifting a curve or two, you have a whole new vibe on a guitar.
Yeah, completely. It's amazing how people can just keep being so creative with the lines and the shapes that they can pull out and make something interesting.
Yeah, indeed. How about throw us a couple others real quick?
Providence Guitars, they're really interesting. They've got a non-reverse Firebird kind of vibe going on with some of their guitars, which sounds really good. And I think they have got a good relationship with Matt from Monty, so they use a lot of his pickups in his guitars. So they seem to be building just really interesting stuff and really affordable as well for something which is hand built. So they really inspire me. And there's like super small builders. There's a guy based out in Suffolk called Blind John. So if you like that heavy relic kind of thing, Blind John's doing some really cool stuff with Telecasters and other shapes as well.
Yes, very, very homemade feeling on some of those. You can tell it's like this is a guy who's just putting wood and metal together, and hope you like it.
Yeah, I think for some people that's exactly where they want it to be. They don't want that super polished kind of thing. They love that rawness of the guitar. And I think that's what's amazing. There's just so many variations and options out there that people can tap into these days.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. You've got a lot of amps on here as well. I know guitars are your main focus, but where are you with the old amps? I know you mentioned the old Selmer. Are you as into amps as you are the guitars?
I think that's a brewing obsession. I mean, my first amp when I got back into it was HH Studio 50, so it's a solid state amp, but it's from the 70s, and famously, I think used by T-Rex. I think they use some of their stuff, and at some point, I think Laney bought the business, so super clean, super pristine sound. And then in my other older amp is I've got a Marshall Lead 12, the little 1x10 kind of combo. And really I bought that because of the Billy Gibbons fascination, because apparently he'd used it on some albums, and it's got that kind of Marshall thing going on, and I wanted something small and theoretically not loud, but it's still plenty loud for a little little amp.
Right. Jared's pretty familiar with the old Marshalls. He's trying to unload quite a few of them right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm not really in a big hurry to do that, but yeah, I think eventually I need to.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. You actually posted something recently that was maybe atypical of most of what you tend to put out there. It was a clip of Frank Zappa, and that one really got my attention because, first of all, I just recently watched on the Gibson channel on YouTube, it's a really good channel. I mean, honestly, man, if you like guitar stuff, that's a great place to go and hang out. And the production value is fantastic. They're talking to people who like live, breathe, and bleed guitar stuff, and it's really great. And they were talking to Dweezil about his dad's guitars and all the guitars in his collection and everything. And I appreciate that, but I have never been able to get it's sort of like, like Marmite or something like or Vegemite, depending on where you are in the equator. People love it or people hate it. And I particularly really like Marmite, but I don't like Frank Zappa.
Yeah, somebody recommended an album for me to try, which was, oh god, where's it in the comments? Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. So I'm going to try and listen to that, because I had some good friends of mine where I was working at the time were just music obsessives, and they desperately tried to get me into Zappa, and I don't know, just couldn't get it at the time. And I think what I've noticed since playing again, the music I listen to has just completely changed. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's time to give Frank another go. So
yeah, well, I'm going to keep trying. I was the same way with oatmeal. I tend to use oatmeal as my yardstick for life. All growing up through my childhood, my mom would try to make me eat oatmeal, and I couldn't do it. I absolutely hated the idea of eating oatmeal. It was nasty. It was slimy. It was like eating a bowl of booger soup. It was awful. I just couldn't do it. And she'd get frustrated because you're like, but it's good for you. And I'm like, I'm like spitting it out. And it wasn't until I tried along the years. I'm like, I feel like I should like oatmeal. I know it's good and blah, 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 blah. And I kept trying it. I'm like, nope. Just spit it out. And, but now I like it. So you never know. You just don't give up on something. If there's an ounce of intrigue there, let it brew. You know what I mean?
Well, being the UK, we eat a lot of what we would call porridge, so oatmeal. And tip somebody gave me years and years ago was, soak it in hot water the night before you cook it, and just makes it super soft and dead tasty.
Okay, I will give that a shot. So at the end of the day, you have a channel in which you're sharing your passion. You don't have the world's greatest collection of guitars. You don't have a warehouse of amps, but you are sharing your love of these guitars with the rest of us, and 18,000 people seem to echo that. I think that's pretty cool. It's hard to be online, and this is something I was thinking about last night, so I kind of wanted to wrap up with this. Oftentimes, I'm a creator in many different ways, whether it's my actual daily job or my band or through the show or whatever. And when we look around at the community around us, especially on something like Instagram, it is very easy to feel woefully inadequate, woefully undervalue. It's so easy to undervalue yourself when you look around and like, look what everyone else has. Look what everyone else is doing. Look at all these things that there's no way I'm ever going to see or play or hear or do or feel like. And, well, that's what I actually appreciate and why I wanted to get you on, because you aren't a person who has all this stuff, but you're still sharing it. And I just wanted to echo to people things that I was feeling last night. Actually, I was like, man, I'm never going to feel caught up or at the same level as everybody else that I see online. And this is a great reminder of just share, just be passionate, just share your feelings, share your thoughts, talk to other people and be hungry about those things. That is what will help like fill you up. And you're probably going to run into a lot of things that you didn't consider before or think of if you get past the idea that all of this out there is not yours and it's unattainable. Maybe that means something, maybe it doesn't, but I just thought I'd share it because that's something I was feeling last night.
I think it's cool. I mean, I think for me, it's a bit like, maybe I treat it a bit like the guitarist's world of art gallery, and try to post up things that we all enjoy looking at and can enjoy. And I think so often we get told you have to possess everything, but sometimes it's just nice to enjoy somebody else's success and just enjoy that thing for what it is, and then you can get back to your normal day life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay if you are never going to get a Nova guitar. It's okay,
Apparently, I'm still dealing with that. Therapy's helping.
Yeah, so just, appreciate and share in others' appreciation. Like, get out there and comment on this stuff. We talk all the time about how accepting and open and all the good things that our guitar community is. And it just, sometimes even if you just comment on someone else's comment, boom, you can end up making a new friend out there in the world just from like doing that and seeing where that goes. You never know. So get in there, get engaged, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So anyways, thank you, Rich, for being out there and sharing all of this stuff. If you wouldn't mind, if you can hop in the back of our El Camino right now, we're going to swing by Jared's house and pick him up to go do some of his favorite thing.
Welcome to Nashville. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Would You Rather. This week's Would You Rather is brought to us by our executive producer, Don Kloss. You live in a major city and you have a gig opening for the city's most popular Pink Floyd cover band. A crowd of several hundred people are expected. You sing and you share lead guitar duties with another member. While setting up, you drop your only guitar.
Oh, no.
Snapping the headstock. Poor Paul Reed Smith guitar. You have no spare, and neither do any of the other band members.
Uh-oh.
There is no time to run home. You can't do it. The venue manager tells you there are instruments in the supply closet, because there's always a supply closet somewhere. So, and to help yourself, what you find in there is shocking. So would you rather? Would you rather play the Dan Electro baritone guitar, which has 4 strings? It doesn't have 6 strings, it's 4 strings, and I think it's probably tuned different if I'm right. This is where we really need Tony. Or a ukulele with a built-in piezo pickup. And I don't know about you, but this is not an easy would you rather. It's really not. So
yeah,
that is our would you rather this week.
That is a no-win situation. Would you rather? That's what that is.
Yeah.
All right, Jared, why don't you go ahead and lead out?
Absolutely. So I'm definitely going to go with the baritone because it's a longer, more guitarish scale than a ukulele is. If you can imagine how big I am, I'm 6'6", about 330. I am a giant man, and a ukulele is not gonna.
I would love
it's
to
not
see
even
that,
gonna. I mean,
your head is bigger than a ukulele.
I don't know. So I eat ukuleles for breakfast.
Yes, you use ukuleles to eat your breakfast.
That's true. So I'm definitely gonna go with the baritone, and I'm gonna tune it the first, the strings into a guitar tuning, and I'll get by on that easily.
Okay.
So
all right,
yep.
Rich, how about yourself?
I think I'm in the same realms as Jared as being 6'3" and pretty big guy. I think a ukulele on me would look silly. And also, I'm not sure the world is ready for Floyd ukulele kind of inspired covers. I think that might be just too much for everyone after 2 years of pandemic. So I think I'd definitely go. I think I'd go the same route as and just play around with that tuning on the Dan Electro. And I think it's got to be the way forward.
Gotcha. Well, I think we're all in the same El Camino here because ukulele. Nope. That's just a big.
I
no.
guess it was a little easier than what I thought. I mean,
yeah,
just tune it into a guitar tuning, and you could actually get away with playing leads easily.
I like the idea of. I think that would actually be really interesting. It'd be kind of like a cross between like, Pink Floyd and like the Black Angels or something like that.
Yeah.
Like just a really like dark psychedelic Pink Floyd cover kind of thing. That'd be kind of interesting.
Sure. I mean, as long as you have your big giant, effects processing equipment, I think you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, indeed.
But thanks for that Would You Rather, Don. We really appreciate it. And please send in your Would You Rathers, everybody. I'll read it off and we'll have fun with it.
Indeed. We need to thank a few people really quick. I'm going to skip all the hoo-ha that Tony does so well and just say thank you so much to all of the people that contribute and help keep the show alive and running. We have some really great reward packages that we send out to new patrons. We've got 2 levels. The first level is our executive producers. And I know I'm making this a lot less fun. I apologize, but I also don't want to make it really cringy either. So I just want to give a genuine thank you to Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Jason Rausch, Mike D., Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemolero, Bilgola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, John Anglin, Tom Barazin, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, David Pogue, Don Kloss, thanks Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, and Brett Hogarth. Sincerely,
Yay!
I thank you for your contribution and your support. And
There's more.
Yeah, wait, there's more.
Yeah.
We also have our grand poobahs, and these people double up on these efforts. And I'm just gobsmacked at this list that we have. And I'm so proud of it. Tommy Manasco, Richard Igareta, David Kaminga, Brandon Mountain Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler K.C. Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Stephen Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. and Eddie Serratos. These are names that we read off every week. These are names that I get to interact with often online. These are names that we've had on the show where we've actually talked with a lot of our grand poobahs, and we're going to continue doing that. And I truly want to thank you for your contribution to my personal guitar world and for keeping it as rich as it is. And so thank you, everybody. All right. Tony will be back with the normal nonsense next week.
It's very different without Tony.
Is.
When he's not here, you really get a deep appreciation for what he provides to the show.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a deep appreciation for me, but that's okay. Anyway, so, okay, let's see. Rich, where can people go find what you're doing and or, interact with you?
Just on Tethered to the Polestar on Instagram. And, I'm there in the DMs if people want to chat.
Excellent. Tethered to the Polestar. Go out there and check that out, everybody.
Yeah,
and
thanks for the translation, Todd.
You're welcome. and if you're a smaller builder who just can't seem to get the spotlight on you, shoot him a message. Maybe you get your stuff on his Instagram there, and shoot it to us too. I mean, why not? Jared, you're just over at Gibson, but you've got a crazy name too. So go ahead.
Yeah, Jared.Allen.Brandon on Instagram.
Yes.
You could send me a message, and I apologize if I don't check right away, but when I do see a message there, I promise I will answer and welcome you and answer anything I can.
I still think it should be Big Jared, but
Anyways. Been big forever. So.
Well, yeah. So why change now? All right. You can shoot me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can send me a DM at guitarknobs on Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Thank you all for being out there, being engaging and enthusiastic about the things that we love. And we hope you have a fantastic Guitar Week. And thank you, Rich Land, for sharing your time with us and being out there doing what you do.
And thanks for having me, guys. It's a real honor and pleasure to be invited on.
Absolutely.
You bet. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic Guitar Week. Subscribe!
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave that one in. How's this? Oh, yes. Now you're like, oh, my.
I am. I actually bought some very...
Jared,
I'm sorry. I thought we weren't recording.
We are, but a warning would be great.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were off. Like, not going to record that.
We're always recording. I'll just use it later.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, we'll need that.
Jeez. Oh, Jared.
Well, you're welcome. I just gave you some material for the end.
Oh, thanks.
Testing 1 2.
Testing 9725. What if it was 9725 instead of 123? I wonder if people would remember 9725. Move back from the mic just a touch. A touch too much. What am I doing exactly? What is the transaction here? This is going to be a real editing workout for me.
I've forgotten the brand name. That's terrible, isn't it? God.
It's okay.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, here we go. Jared, is your nose all okay now?
I hope so. Let's roll.
All right. I think he had some ribeye up there. Hey, Rich.
Yep.
It's going to be one of these days, man. I'm telling you.
I am a giant man.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at guitarknobs. Catch you next time.